This is the fabulous Shane Green, guys. We've been waiting for him, and I apologize. It was my fault. I got a little confused with a couple of links here. So I just to let you know, I am human, and it's a good thing. So, so anyway, Shane here he is what is known as the culture hacker, and I was just telling these good folks here about the things we got coming for him and how we're going to be, we're all in this whole thing together, and that we're going to, see how we can be helpful. And we know that things will turn around, and we're going to have them ready to be. You guys are going to be just supermen and women when everything turns around. And if you are working now and you have a team, like you came for a virtual team, you're going to be able to really get some great tips, because Shane is awesome. I mean, I've been watching him, and I've known him for a while now. And that's why I have him on, is because he delivers good stuff. This is not going to be a pitch webinar. This is going to be a learning webinar, and you're going to be getting yourself some great stuff from here. And like I say, at the end, stay on to the end, because we're going to tell you about the special free training we have, culture hacking training over the week. But just before we get into that, Shane, what is culture hacking anyway? You have your book. Just real quick, can you define culture hacking?
Well, as I said, I think it's going to take the two words. Culture is a collective mindset of a group of people. So it's the collective hearts and minds, how a group feels. And like a hacking, you can go in and change those hearts and minds quietly. I often find that when these change initiatives come out in large organizations, people kind of stand up and yell and go, we got to change. We're going to change our culture, and everyone freezes and freaks out. And so what we talk about is how to evolve this collective mindset quietly, doing a number of little things so that people just start to feel better about what's going on at work. So that's how I came up with the culture hacking. It's literally, you can hack your culture quietly for a lot of small changes for big results.
Oh, that's awesome. And what I liked about it, because when I spoke to Shane, I asked him that question. It's not the first time I heard that answer, and I really liked it, and I resonated with it, because it's how I understood it was that the first thing will happen is anytime you're going to make a change is you're going to get resistance. And so Shane's way of doing things is he helps it so people feel, like he says, they feel good about it. They don't feel the resistance to the change. They feel that they want to be a part of that change, and then the change is made, and no one has to feel bad about anything. They can just feel really good about it. So without that being said, do you want to tell everybody a little bit, because I took a look at this particular list here, and I saw that this group of people are not familiar with you. So could you tell a little bit about yourself, how you got into it quickly, about SG, International and SGE International? Okay.
All right. So guys, as I said, my name's Shane Green. As I said, I've been around sort of the block. I started in hospitality. I worked with the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company, opening hotels around the world with them for a number of years. Started my own business, really focused on the service industry, customer experience industry. We developed a training company that provides service, sales, type training. Over the years, it's kind of evolved, because we've continued to go back and how do you deliver great customer experience? And, we focus on product, place, process, and people. And the more and more that we've gone down this track, we've discovered that really the people is the most important ingredient in any customer experience strategy. So as a result, over the years, we've started to not only provide more, training, leadership-based training, executive-based training, but we've actually started a whole consultancy group that really works with organizations to build a customer experience strategy inside out, meaning that we really focus on the employee experience. We believe employee experience drives customer experience. And what we've found is there's a number of mechanisms that really do lend themselves to influencing how an employee feels about coming to work every day. As a result of that, we've been working with some pretty fun organizations. We obviously came out of hospitality, and I like to think we've worked with pretty much everyone in that industry. But some of our other clients is the NBA, BMW, United Airlines right now, though they're having a tough time of it, as you can imagine. MGM Resorts, Westfield. Who else we've engaged with? Over on the tech side, some companies there. So we've kind of covered the gamut, and every time we go in, everybody's very focused on the customer experience element And we sort of come in and we really focus how the people element is influencing that experience. So we've had some fun along the way. And as a result of that, we do a lot of our own research. Obviously, we've got some pretty cool experience with some large and small organizations. We do work with a lot of startups. And as a result, we've collected a lot of ideas, and we're going to share with some of those today. And we put this together. We actually work with some call center groups. We actually work with United right now. They have, I think it's something around close to 10,000 virtual employees in the contact center and on offline. And so we've been working with this idea of virtual leadership for a couple of years now. And we thought, obviously, with the timing and what's going on around the world and all the sort of unnormality, that we thought it'd be kind of great to share a couple of tips as you're starting to kind of manage your teams from afar, and maybe it's kind of just a little unusual right now. So that's a little bit about us, where we've been. We're based out of here in Las Vegas, Nevada, but we have trainers and consultants pretty much all around the world, certainly across the US or North America, up in Canada, but we've done projects. We just finished up with MSC Cruises over there in Italy, but on their ships and that around the world. So we have a lot of global reach in that as well. So that's kind of the intro. So anything else you want to know about Abraham? You know me as good as anybody.
Yeah, no, I think let's just get going. Let's give these people what they came for.
All right, fantastic. So guys, what we want to talk today is about the 5 C's of virtual leadership. But I just wanted to, as I said before, share a couple of ideas, just some things to maybe think about as you're starting to lead your team from afar. I think before we sort of get too far, though, we have to talk about actually what leadership is. And I think this is a really important definition. If you've heard me speak, if you've seen what I write or anything like that, you'll know I continually come back to this, is that leadership in a work setting is a manager's ability to inspire the hearts and minds of their employees, to want to do what they want them to do and to perform at their best. And I think that's really important. That was something that really came out of my time at the Ritz-Carlton. You can't make someone perform. You can't make someone do it, particularly, and if you do, they kind of do it begrudgingly. So it's certainly not a good strategy in the customer experience sector. You've got to make your employees want. And that's what I think leadership does, is it works through employees and makes them want. And that's a key definition. When I sort of came out, and again, obviously a few years ago, I think the definition of leadership was about your ability to get your people to do what you want them to do. And some people took that as like, I can do whatever I want then, yell and scream, jump up and down. There's a lot of ways that I think managers over the years have tried to get their employees to do that. Leaders inspire them to do that. And so that's very important, because it kind of sets the foundation of some of the things that we talk about, is that in your leadership role, and I'm going to talk about your management role in a moment, but in your leadership role, what you want to focus on is making your people feel good. And that's the kind of the best way and the simplest way I can put it. Now, you have another role. So you have another hat, which is the management hat. And I think this is important to see management and leadership as two separate things. Not every manager is a leader. All right. And that's an important piece. And not every leader has a manager's title or is a manager. Leaders don't need titles. In fact, it's been interesting over the years. We've found some of the best leaders in organizations actually on the front line with no title at all. So keep that in mind. And the other piece is, just because you've got a title doesn't make you a leader. Managers is the ability to ensure compliance, consistency, and efficiency in your operation. And what we find is that a lot of people get promoted into supervisor and management roles because they're really good at that. They're really good in their operation or certain tasks and that. And so they got promoted. And so what we often say is that, management and leadership, they have to go hand in hand. They're kind of like the two sides of the one coin, but they're so critical. So I want you to make sure they understand that. I'm not saying leadership is more important than management or is one more important than the other. What I'm saying is that you need to have some balance. And so today we're talking about that balance, because even though you've got a group of people working remotely probably right now, or you're leading them or managing them remotely, there's still certainly operational elements that you'll have to get done. And so what I want to do is really just focus more on that leadership role. As we've gone into lots of different industries, I'm a hotel guy traditionally, but one of the things is, well, how did a hotel guy lead a strategy change at United, BMW, the MBA, all these industries that I really have no experience or expertise in. And that's because I don't focus on the management side. There are lots of great managers in those companies and in those industries that know how to run their business well. What we focus on is the idea of leadership and culture. And those two do go hand in hand because as I define culture, culture is the collective hearts and minds of a group of people. And I just said leadership is about your ability to inspire the hearts and minds. What we've learned over the years is that really leadership is the single biggest driver of how your employees feel, the culture of your company, the culture of your team. So they really do go hand in hand. And what I would say is that just because you have a team of people working remotely doesn't mean you don't have a culture. Remember, culture is collectively how do a group of people feel. So even if you've got, we're working, with 8,000-9,000 remote employees, say with United, they still collectively have a culture, and collectively we're always focused on how does that group of people feel. So as you're sitting there today and you've got a group of employees that you're now working from home, I want you to keep in mind that the question is not do you have a culture? You do, even though you go, well, none of them are working together anymore. Yes, but culture is the collective hearts and minds. So if you've got 20 people working from home today, your job as a leader is to understand collectively how they're feeling. And obviously in these times, they're probably feeling anxious. They're worried. There's a lot of emotions going on. So you might say through no fault of your own that collectively the culture is a little unstable. It's a little on edge. It may not be the most positive it can be. And so what we want to focus on is, well, what can you do as a leader to maybe make it a little bit better? And that's what I call my 5 C's. And when we talk about the 5 C's, there's kind of 5 different buckets that we want to dip into: collaborate, communicate, coach, care, and celebrate. So I just wanted to kind of go through and talk about some of these things. And again, in some ways that you would do them every day as if your team of 20, 30, 100 are right in front of you or at least around you, and remote in that as well. So let's just kind of touch on some of these. And as I said, keep in mind you got questions. Abraham's got the ability to kind of take your questions. You'll kind of collect them, and we'll have a bit of a Q&A at the end as you go through some of these because it's kind of fun. It's hard to kind of capture all of this in a short session, but we've created tools, materials that, as I said, I think has worked kind of well in this virtual world. So collaborate. All right. So very simple. As a leader, you want your team to be working together. And this is important because it's a mindset. It's like, even though you're going, well, my team are all separated now, there's 20 people working in 20 different homes, they are still a team. So what do you do to help promote collaboration? That is the question we often ask. And we've done a lot of work with different managers and going, well, what have we done that kind of keeps people on track? A couple of things that we've learned over the years. The first one is leaders keep their team focused on mission, goals, and values. And I want to break sort of each of those down, because it's important that even though you're going, all right, they're all working from home, you have to keep talking about, first of all, the mission. The mission is fundamentally, what do you do and who you do it for? So keep talking about customers and keep talking about what it is that you do. What are the goals of your team? Keep reminding them, even though that we're now working from home, we still have goals as a group. We still have things that we're trying to achieve. So keep them focused on the goals. They still have to be achieved. We're still focused. And again, even though the conditions might be different, we still want to be focused on making these improvements and hitting our numbers this year. And then the final one is our values. Values is really important because values define how we act and interact with each other. A lot of companies have values. Unfortunately, a lot of companies really don't believe their own values. A chapter of my book I call Values Are Often Just Philosophical BS. Because they're really just something that they push onto a website, put on a picture on a wall. But the best organizations that we've worked with and we've studied, they utilize their values because it defines action and interaction. And what that means is, I call it kind of like the rules of the sandbox. What they do is they make sure that people understand how to perform. And that's really important. Performance is defined by what you do and how you do it. Your values define how you do it. So there's obviously words like respect and be creative and friendly and all these really great words. Well, those are the rules of your sandbox. And it's really important that you keep reminding your team that even though they are remote, that we still act and interact in a certain way. just because, and this is something that we often find, we've done a lot of work with call centers, and we find that new employees into call centers have a really hard time of adjusting. They kind of like, they're at home now. So they dress down a little bit, they talk a little bit more casually. Things are just kind of a little bit more lax. What we must do is constantly kind of make them feel, no, you're still at work, you're still on. And even the simple habit of asking your team, we have in our company a check-in every morning at 9 a.m. The expectation is no one's allowed to turn up in their pajamas. And it sounds silly, but again, it's that simple idea like, no, we're at work. And the difference, there's been a lot of study done of someone working in pajamas versus working how they might work, go to work or in front of a customer is just a really important psychological element. So keep that in mind. Keep your teams focused on big picture mission, goals, and values, which means you're talking about them every day. And you'll see very shortly that we talk about communication. The other thing that I think is really important in the collaboration idea is that they're all working together. So if we've got mission, goals, and values, what you're doing as a leader is you're always asking them for their ideas about how to achieve those goals and values. So one of the things that I would urge you to do, if you haven't done so already, is get your team on the phone or on a FaceTime or on a Zoom call or anything that you can utilize and say, hey guys, we've still got our goals. Let's get some ideas that under these new conditions, what do we need to change? What do we need to evolve a little on? What do we need to think about? What I would urge you is, as a leader, don't feel that you have to come up with the roadmap yourself or the action plan yourself. As a leader, keep promoting big picture, but engage your team in the ideas. I think one of the really important things is that as they're sitting there at home, get probably a little bit worried, kind of going, oh gosh, what's going to happen in the coming months? Get them focused on, hey guys, we've still got to take care of customers. We've still got goals. Start to shift their thinking a little. Give them a higher order purpose. I'm like, okay, for a certain few hours every day, I'm going to be not thinking about myself. And in my current situation, I really want to try to be thinking about bigger picture. And so what you want to do is talk to them about, hey, how can we be better when we come out of this? I came right before this off a call with the Wynn Group. We're talking about 6,500 employees. The two big hotels, obviously here in Las Vegas, one in Boston, one in Macau. And we had a whole session on talking about how to engage managers and employees through this. And the biggest thing to come out with it is like, we've got to make sure that we're focused on, we are going to be better out of this, which means it's not lost time. A lot of times that we've seen over the last couple of weeks, it seems I've been having all these conversations with different companies and everyone's going, oh, this is just lost time. We're kind of not going to be able to achieve anything. What you want to get your teams focused on, this is an amazing time because it actually allows us to think how to be better at our business. It actually allows us maybe to come out of this even stronger. It's very rare that we get this opportunity to kind of take some quiet time out and go, all right, how can we make things better? So engaging your people in idea sharing and how to create a plan, not only through this period, but coming out of it, extremely important. And then, of course, creating opportunities for the team work together. This is something that's absolutely huge. And again, it's the psychology mind shift. I got 20, 30 people working from home now. You see them as individuals. I still see them as a team. Again, collaborate. What you want to be able to do is create opportunities for them to work together. Some of the things that we've done is we pair them up and get them to work on a task. Hey, you've just talked about mission, goals, values. Well, you might say, hey, I'm going to pair a couple of you up, get on the phone, and I want you to talk to each other today about how we can improve customer service, and you guys are going to present back to me tomorrow a couple of ideas. And you guys get to have 45 minutes to do this. So create opportunities to work together. So completing tasks, solving problems. All right now we've got a couple of problems. What are the things that are getting in the way of us being effective, taking care of our customers or performing? Again, pair them up or put them into groups of 3 and allow them outside of your communication time, which we'll talk about in a moment, to think about, well, what can we do better? It's so very, very important. The other thing is I think you can have some fun in this time. Again, see them as one team. We actually did the thing, again, we've talked about United working with their call center, so 9,000 call center people. We actually utilize games. Often people think with virtual teams you can't play games. We actually think you can absolutely play games. And again, listen, depending on the technology you have available, when that we just talk to, use Teams. Obviously, we've got Zoom. There's a lot of technology kind of comes into play, believe me, a lot easier than being on the phone. But have some fun. You can, as I said, with the right technology, put your group up there on a screen. Give them a challenge. We play games. We did with United. It was called Flight 640. It was a flight from Chicago to Las Vegas. It's probably hard to understand, but they basically had to do some critical thinking, and we would give clues. So basically, there was a group of 20. Each person, we sent out to them a small card, and it had 3 clues on it. And our only piece was, all right, you're all going to come together on this Zoom Teams call, and you are only allowed to present the information that's on your sheet. You're not allowed to show it to anybody. You're not allowed to write anything down. And what they did is they had to critically think through solving a problem by just talking. It was fascinating. We would watch it. And again, it took about 25, 30 minutes for them to come up with it. But we really promoted the idea of clear communication and listening. There was kind of a nice output. Have some fun. Right now, my company, in about 30 minutes, my employee team here in Vegas, and again, it's only about 25 of them, they're all getting a virtual coffee certificate. Hopefully to kind of utilize that. In about an hour, we're going to have a virtual coffee break, lunch break, and just get on and just talk. So please keep in mind the idea of collaboration. Just because your people aren't sitting in front of you or in one office space or on the floor or in one area doesn't mean that you don't focus on collaboration and teamwork. In fact, as a leader, I see that as one of your most important responsibilities through this time. Really make sure you've got collaboration. They are still a team. It is still a culture, and I've got to keep reminding and them focused on that. So that's my first piece on collaborate. Communicate. I've referred to this already. So, you know, the worst thing that can happen during this time is that the team is silent. They're not talking. And this is where you need to overly communicate. As I said, a lot of people have a lot of stuff on their minds right now. If left in isolation, that's what happens. Their minds will run crazy. So as the leader, what I find during this time is you've got to overly communicate. What does that look like? I think there's 4 ways or 4 time frames that you want to think about over the coming months. First of all, every day you have to communicate. I just indicated my team and I get together at 9 o'clock every day and we have a huddle up. And again, it lasts about 15 minutes, just as we would, honestly, as if we're in the office. We have a daily communicate. We get them online. We do a conference call, a Zoom call, any which way, but get on and just talk about operational-based stuff. Yes, it might seem a little different now because people are performing a little differently. Operations may not be the norm, but still focus and talk about customer. Still talk about how you're having impact, even if the impact has changed. So daily calls, please. Even if your team right now, and again, I've got an organization that their team, they can't perform. They can't interact with customers. They can't do anything right now. They are basically paying their teams to be away during this time. It's fantastic. But what I urge them to do is don't just see it as a vacation. That's still every day, check in. Requirement is that they have to get in and call every day and talk, even though they're not talking about what their normal tasks are. They have to have a group call every morning, 9 a.m., just to kind of kick their day off. So it kind of keeps them focused, big picture. The second one is what we call our weekly performance call. This is a one-on-one call that I want you to have with your teams. This is kind of a check-in. Now, performance is not just what they do, but how they do it. So remember that. So when I talk about my weekly performance, at this time, I'm just talking how they're doing. Just one-on-one, schedule it and go, listen, how are you doing? Hey, what's going on? What are you worried about? Make sure that that is happening. If they are in a space where they are still taking care of customers or still working, obviously you can talk about the other side of performance as well. What's been achieved? But please have those weekly one-on-one performance calls. This is something that's a best practice that we've seen for the last 10 years. Regardless of where your team is, you should focus on that. I have a daily ops conversation. I have a weekly performance one-on-one conversation. And sort of managers, supervisors take that. Then there's what we call a monthly engagement conversation. The monthly engagement is how we're performing and are we getting close to our goals. Engagement is your employees' interest and involvement in making your company better. So the monthly engagement is, hey, here's how we're doing as a company. If I can urge you one thing in these times is be very transparent about how you're doing. Trying to hide what's going on, I think, is the worst thing you can do. Listen, everybody's in this together. There's a lot of companies in a lot of hard times, having to lay people off, having to do stuff. Be honest about it. But my monthly engagement conversation is, hey, this is where we are as a company. This is how long we've got. This is what's going on. And again, I ask for that brainstorming. So every month in the engagement meeting, it's, hey, if you guys got ideas of how we could maybe save a little bit more, how we could do a little bit more. Hey, any ideas how to get through this? That's really what you want that conversation to look like. So daily, weekly, monthlies. And then the final one is as needed. Obviously, if there's a crisis and they need to reach out to you, you are available. And now, most of you will probably know the open door policy. Open door policy has been around forever. It basically says, I'm available whenever you need me or whatever you need. It's a really nice idea, but it's completely almost impossible to be able to deliver on. Why? I get that I can bring anything to you at any time, but being able to do it at any time, really tough. And so I've worked with managers over the years, and the best practice that we aspire to or talk about is set daily open door time frames. And it varies every day because you want to make sure that all of your employees can do it, depending on schedules and all of that. But what you want to do is every day have like an hour open or 2 hours, depending on the size of your group. And for those of you that are there listening, executives or managers who have managers or supervisors under them, they have to get involved in this as well. You can't do this from sheer numbers. But what you want to do is have an open door policy. And the rule that we do is, like, if I have it for, say, an hour a day, I set a 15-minute window so I can do 4 of these. And what I say is that, hey, I'm available this time for anything outside of the most urgent crisis, because they will pop up, but often not everything is a crisis. And you can come and talk to me, call me. You have 15 minutes to talk about anything you want. What that 15-minute does is it means that they have to be more focused, more organized. We've seen over the years that if you allow it to be completely kind of open door and free for all, you can get completely lost. And you want to be able to make sure in these times that you're available to all your employees. So we've really found that as a best practice. Schedule open door policy every day. As I said, you got your ops meeting every day during the morning or at times throughout the day when your op team comes online. But second of all, hey, I've got today, it's at 2 o'clock. Hey, 15 minutes. If you guys want to schedule, just send me a note. We'll schedule it in on my calendar that you want to talk about anything. Anything outside of that, a really big crisis. And what's happened over the period of time is that we've started to redefine. In the beginning, everything's a crisis. What we start to learn is that by putting some rules around and starting to kind of really be clear about what a crisis is, one, it minimizes the number of conversations that may be coming at you. Second of all, it really means that you are focused in on what a true crisis is. And as long as you've got all 4 of these time frames open for communication, you're gathering some organization back to your schedule, which I think for managers is really important. You need to be able to control your time for leaders. The best leaders I know are very selfish time. They schedule, they're organized. And so if you've got your daily ops call, your weekly performance call, and a monthly engagement call, you are covering some of the big conversation opportunities that employees often want you for. And so by scheduling that and getting that routine built in, the as needed will drop. And again, you're creating sort of some schedule around that as well, that each day, if somebody just wants to reach out to you and talk, please do so. So that's my communication. I love the quote at the bottom. Communication is in the mind of the recipient. You're just making noise if the other person doesn't understand you. So remember that, guys. Check for understanding. Let's go to the next one. So the next one is coaching. So the third one, again, these are just big basic pillars of being a good leader. It's very important that through these virtual times that you are still coaching your team. And coaching comes in a number of different ways. So first one we talk about is what we call the informal coaching conversation. In your coaching calls every week, you want to make sure you're having that casual conversation about performance. Hey, any feedback that you got, anything that is kind of pertinent to your virtual team, make sure you're bringing that up. If it's obviously of a more urgent nature, I certainly urge you to reach out and don't wait for the weekly call. But it's important that they feel that not every coaching conversation is formal from you. We find that managers can be too formalized. They write everything up. They make it all very serious. Informal coaching conversations have been proven to have a much bigger impact. Again, just check in and ask questions. How are you doing? What are you challenged with right now? What do you think you're doing really well at? One of the key things I've learned from coaches that we've studied over the years is that they're really good at asking questions. They're very good at not just making assumptions and statements all the time. So really think about that. How are you asking questions? So make sure in your weekly performance calls, just ask questions of your team. How are you doing? How are you feeling? What do you think you're doing well? What do you think you need help with? It's a really good way to approach the performance conversation and to be a good coach. Timely and personal recognition. Anytime you hear something really good, either internally or externally, be as quickly as possible to let someone know that they did a great job. So again, this is where I say don't wait for the weekly performance calls. Like if you get a great comment or feedback, get it to them straight away. Now you're going to see in a little bit when we talk about that, pick up the phone and talk to them, send them an email, do something. What we want you to make sure though is that you're specific about the feedback and you're personal with the feedback, which means it's in the style that they need or feel that they need. Remember, everybody processes information a little differently. Some people like to hear it. Some people like to see it written down. Other people like to feel it. As I said, the virtual coffee has been kind of for this last week, we've been using that as little reward certificates just to send out to our employees who, anytime we hear something awesome, we did that. Next week, we're going to do a little the delivery, Uber Eats kind of certificates. Just some simple stuff that, because some of our employees really do have to kind of feel it, to feel that recognition there. So keep that in mind. One of the things that over this time is that when someone is really performing at a high level, empower them or delegate things to them. This is a really great opportunity for you to maybe delegate some of your management supervisory tasks to those that are doing really well, that maybe want to grow into being a leadership role down the line. So I think it's really important to think about that. How can you utilize this time maybe to teach them? Remember, one of the best ways to recognize somebody is giving them some extra time or teaching them something. So really great opportunity for you to think about. You got some star performers, in your performance calls goes, hey, what's your leadership aspirations? What are those like? Do you want to learn some supervisory management type task? It's a fantastic form of recognition that often gets overlooked. Performance calls, hey, if people are struggling a little, get a little creative. Hey, do we need some extra training? A lot of great training resources out there right now. A lot of resources, even just like this, made free and available. This is a time of giving. So really take advantage and look what's out there. There's just so many great people out there giving their time, having webinars, giving some free advice. Take advantage of them. So look for some training opportunities while it's there. I got to flip to the other side though. Remember, if someone's not performing, don't be afraid. You still have a tough conversation. And by the way, a tough conversation is not a rough conversation, which means always be respectful. But don't be afraid to say, hey, you know what, the results or how or some of the things I've noticed, some of the feedback I may be getting may not be as strong. So just because you're virtual doesn't mean they can get away and do whatever they like. As I said, I still have rules every day about performance, as simple as, hey, make sure you're dressed and ready to go by 9 a.m. And then, of course, one of the interesting challenges we find with virtual is letting people go. You can still let people go virtually. That's what I call making tough decisions. Listen, it's the same as if they were in the office. If there is a performance issue, now performance issues over a period of time, which means they're not delivering and they're not doing it in the right way. At the end of the day, remember, some employees just make better customers than they do employees. So don't think just because everyone's virtual, everyone gets to do whatever they want. Absolutely not. As I said, I still believe that this coaching element has to become really strong. And I often find that managers through virtual often see that coaching is something that they can't really have an impact on. And yet I've given you kind of 5 or 6 different ways to be able to do it. So coaching is a critical leadership trait. It's a critical leadership behavior and responsibility. And I want to make sure that you understand that you can still perform or be able to deliver that in this virtual environment. Number 4, demonstrate that you care. And as I said, I think this is just a really great time for you to really up the ante on the relationships with your employees. And it comes back to conversations. And so there's 2 things that I'm going to ask you and look for that I think is really cool during this time. Demonstrate you care is that you get to know your people. And the second one is demonstrate respect. Both of those can be done virtually in these weekly conversations. So my challenge to you is that every week you kind of make sure you ask a really cool conversation to get to know your people more or demonstrate respect. And I've given you some examples of some of our favorite ones. And I urge you to pick one of them this week and make this your conversation. What are you most grateful for right now? You know what? Family, friends, dogs, still having a job. Man, this is such a great question to ask. What are people grateful for? And make a note of it. All right. Oh, I didn't know. You know, you're most grateful for your parents. Hey, let's talk about your parents. Get people to talk about what they're most grateful for. It will naturally endear them to feel like they have a greater relationship with you than you probably did before. What is your professional and personal goal for this year? Everyone should always know that. I always get onto managers and supervisors. You should always know your direct reports every year, one personal goal and one professional goal, because as a leader, you're going to help them get there. So ask that as a conversation. Maybe use that as next week's one. What's your favorite pastime or interest? What are you doing right now? I'm reading books, I'm playing music, I'm learning a guitar. All of these things will come up as they've got more downtime, as we sort of will live more in isolation. So again, find that part out. And again, make a note of it. These are really good ways for you to get to know your people better. And you don't have to ask all the questions at once, but I've given you a couple of questions to ask over the coming weeks. The other one that I really like is to demonstrate respect. And this question it might seem a little weird, but it's a really powerful one. Is like, well, what makes you unique? What makes you stand out in a crowd? What do you think is your best quality? And again, you're not there to judge. Allow people to feel comfortable in their uniqueness. The thing that you have to remember as a leader is that most people, particularly in the workplace, spend more energy hiding their weaknesses, their uniqueness, and what makes them special more than anything else. And so take this time to ask that question. What makes you unique or slightly different? What are your strengths that we should utilize more? What do you think, what's the talents that need to come out? So I really want you to sort of adhere to this and think about how to demonstrate more care. I want in these weekly calls, I want you to ask this, a really cool question and get the conversation going. And remember, you have to be able to answer these as well. Transparency, humility, honesty by a leader, just fantastic traits. And then the 5th one is we got to celebrate a little. All right. And again, where is the recognition part of the coaching? Maybe more individual. Don't be afraid to celebrate a little. Listen, it's part of what we do. I kind of have the 3 rules. Verbally celebrate small improvements. Hey, great job, guys. Make sure in your daily meetings that you talk about verbally celebrate the small improvements that you see. Nothing too big, but it's like, hey, great job, guys. I'm really proud of what our numbers looked like yesterday. Really proud of what we've been able to do this week. So small improvements, verbal. Celebrate in writing, okay? The milestones. All right, it's a birthday, it's an anniversary. Celebrate. Send a note out to everybody and go, hey, it's Shing's birthday today. Everybody, high five or do it in the meeting. But I always love it. People love get it when you write stuff down. I remember at Ritz-Carlton, every Friday you had to write a personal note to somebody that really made an impact on you in the hotel. And it was such a cool piece. And what it always reminded is that in today's world, and obviously I'm talking about not just sending an email, but actually taking a moment to write a card down and maybe put it in the post to someone. And while they're here in isolation, I'm telling you, getting a little note in the post is a big deal. And you go, over the next couple of weeks, it'll make someone's day. So celebrate by writing in the milestones. So birthdays, anniversaries, anything like that. Come on, get those little cards out and put it out there. I love it when we celebrate milestones of writing. And then celebrate with a reward for achieving goals. I always look at my engagement meetings. So my engagement meetings every month that we host, we always look at the results and we say, man, We showed a big improvement. We're hitting our goals. We do celebrate with our rewards. As I said, it's actually the end of the month tomorrow. And as I said, end of quarter tomorrow for us. And so every quarter we often go out and we have a lunch with our group. So of course we're delivering lunch to everyone tomorrow at home. So that'll be kind of our ways. But I always try to do something when we're kind of doing something kind of bigger. So verbally celebrate every day. Find something to recognize. I think if you're doing your morning meetings, please find something to celebrate, no matter how small. Start getting into the habit of writing down milestones. So birthdays, anniversaries, something that they did really that stood out for you. I want you to think about writing it down, sending a card, putting it in the post, kind of a cool little thing. You'll be amazed next week when they get it in the post how viral that goes and they talk about it. And then, as I said, think about monthly. Again, I always talk about my monthly engagement meetings. Can we do something virtually that's kind of fun? So that was kind of my 5 C's that I wanted to talk about. And just remember, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, remember you are a leader. And I always think that's really important because that's what.
You're having some trouble with your sound there.
Oh, is it okay?
Okay, yeah, you're good now.
Yeah, so I always just go, don't forget, just because you've got a remote team or you're doing something virtual doesn't mean that you can't inspire them. And in fact, I believe that, in these trying times that we're all dealing with, this is the exact time when your leadership needs to come to the fore. I said at the beginning, and I say, hey, leadership isn't any more important than management, but just maybe this week, next week, over the next few weeks, as everyone's just trying to work all of this out, it's your leadership that will truly, truly make a difference in someone's life. And as I said, honestly, help everyone get through this. So that was my 5 C's, Abraham. That was kind of some stuff. Hopefully the team out there, the group listening in, they got some little to-dos, got some little action items for themselves. So, I'll open it up. If anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to answer anything while we're still talking.
Yeah, Christopher Shaw, he has a question. Do you want to just to unmute and just ask? Go ahead and ask. Oh, hey, you're muted. I can't hear you.
Hey, Chris. I know it's that technology.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, welcome, Chris. Go ahead and ask your
All
question.
right.
Talk to Shane.
Can you hear me okay?
Beautifully.
We got you, man.
Perfect. I'm currently, for the coaching and communication part, meeting with my folks biweekly and kind of covering both the performance and engagement questions at once. Would you suggest breaking them up into separate times? And how would you preserve that time? Because I know my folks have said before, weekly would be too much. We're too busy right now.
Yeah, so just keep in mind the two differences I said. The weekly performance is one-on-one. So that's why it's more individual. The engagement one, I actually do monthly. So what I'd urge you to do is do the bi-weekly if you're kind of doing that group. I think that's okay. What you want to do is in these times do the one-on-one. And my one-on-ones right now are maybe 5 minutes. I schedule them at 15 minutes every week to check in. And I got a smaller team and I got a couple of managers that do it. But hey, it's a quick check-in on how you are doing. And even though the word performance gets confused, remember, I'm right now focusing on how people are feeling, the how part rather than what they did. So the one-on-one you will find in today's world, where we're sitting, will get more bang for your buck. The engagement meeting is, okay, here's where we are for our results. And as I said, I only do that monthly because honestly, more than that is too much. And it generally takes every month. We get our financials and our customer feedback and all of that. So engagement, I feel you've got longer time on. So 2 weeks for engagement on hitting results. As I said, for the big results, I think it's probably too much. But I also, as I sort of said, I touch every day on any small victories or anything that we're doing. So it's finding the balance. The one-on-one conversation is the best and most important conversation you're going to have today.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Cool. And by the way, then throw those personal questions in. 1 question each week. You'll be amazed how that will really connect your relationship with them. Great question.
Listen, Chris, can you keep in touch with us and tell us how it goes?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because we're delivering this material here. We would like to get we'd like to have some feedback and knowing that we're being helpful. That are
Yep,
actually the things
definitely.
are, because I know Shane is, he's giving, he knows what he's doing, but when I hear from people like yourself, so we can tell others too, look at, we have something of value here that's really helping people.
It's available afterwards too, Chris, so you can go back and have a look at some of this stuff as well. So
Yeah, that was
Perfect.
another
Thank
question.
you.
That was another question. Is that from Robert? He's in. I think he's in Europe. Or is he? I think in Norway or something. Where are you, Robert? Can you talk? Can you say? Are you able to talk?
Yeah, it's Robert here. So yeah, I'm sitting in
Oh.
Norway, Scandinavia.
Oh wow! Hey, how you
Robert,
doing?
how are you,
Welcome.
man?
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, you're coming loud and clear. He's having little technical difficulties in speaking. He wanted to know if he could get the slides, and I told him I'm about 99.99999% sure that you probably would give it to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Abraham, make sure everyone gets these out afterwards. What we'll do is we'll actually. Did you videotape this, Abraham? Did you get
Absolutely.
your?
Oh yeah. We're
All right,
recording
so we can send this out to everyone that was on the call. So let's make sure they get that in the next week.
Absolutely. Also, too, I want to tell everybody that what we're having a webinar next week. I'm putting in the link, and this one is we're starting a culture hacker training. We're going to, for those that want to become culture hackers, we're going to be having over the next several weeks, we're going to be having culture hacking training for free. We want you to just take advantage of this. This is amazing what this offer is. And also, and there's no catch. You'll see that all you're going to do is catch a lot of value. And we're going to be building this up all the way to the Culture Hacker Virtual Summit that we're planning towards October. So
yeah, guys, this is your time to get your coaches under control. So what we decided to do is I'm like, you know what, this downtime, let's take advantage of it. So I'm actually going to take you through my book. We're going to do some webinars, some Q&As, just over the coming months to get you to start orienting yourself towards how you can improve your culture, get the employee experience. And, if I didn't say this in the beginning, I'm not an HR person. I'm an operator. I come from the front line of a lot of different businesses. I run different businesses. So Culture Hacker wasn't created for someone in HR. It was created for those of you that are managers on the front line, executives on the front line. So I just thought it'd be kind of cool, rather than sitting around annoying my family and getting in their way, that we'll take some time to do a little culture hacking. And I'm going to share. I got lots of videos and blogs and articles and stuff, and even a copy of this book back there that I'll send out to you guys. So if you're interested in learning more about culture hacking, as I said, please join us. I'd love to see you, but we're going to do some different stuff over the coming months, because I think we've got an opportunity not only to sharpen our saw, but really make our collective employees much, much happier than they are today. So we're going to make a difference.
That's right. And people, we nowadays, that's, we're looking at this. We don't know what's going to be happening, but as leaders, you guys can make a big difference and make people feel good, and we'll get through this together. I put the link into the chat, so please go ahead and click that. We'll be sending you out the replays, and we'll send you the slides. We have other things we'll be sending you as well. We'll also send you an email about the upcoming webinar. So if you don't catch it here, you'll catch it in the email too. We hope that we're going to be able to see you. If anybody have any more questions, does somebody want to unmute and say hello?
Actually, it's Robert here. I actually have
Yeah,
one question.
please.
It's kind of I don't know if it's regarding the communication part, because normally my team is a small group of 5 people, and we are running the customer care center for our company. And when we are in the office, it's very quick to ask questions just across the table or across the room to get some small details clarified or whatever. And since I'm sitting in the same room, I always, you listen with one ear and you can always hear what's going on and you get the full picture, etc. But now it seems that I'm missing this, because, some of the employees are talking directly to each other on a private chat. And I'm struggling a bit this, because I might be a control freak or something. I don't know. I want to know what's going on. So I'm struggling a bit about this, and I have asked them if we could have a common chat. But the feedback from my team is that I don't want to see everything else that is not in my interest.
Yep. Hey, so if I can talk about communication, this is where establishing your routines of communication is so important. And I'm going to kind of hop on this. So, hey, daily meetings and ops meeting. It's hey, here's what we're doing in operations. You know, it's kind of a quick check-in. Here's what we got going on. I kind of allow them to do that. The cadence then goes to this weekly performance. This is your chance to do the one-on-ones. And again, Robert, you are going to learn that in leadership, and maybe this is going to be the lesson for you, your big move is that you don't control everything. You can't control everything, and nor should you try to control everything. Just remember that they have their own needs and outlets as well. Your goal through this is to make sure that they know that if they really do need you, that you're available. And the best way to do that is really focus on those relationships. Those questions I gave you are so powerful, but you want to set that routine. They want to know that, oh, every week I got to check in with Robert and go, hey, how are you doing? What do you need from me? Let's get a little bit personal. If you do this right, you're going to get what you're looking for. And as I said, it's okay. And then, of course, then you establish that time every day or a group chat. Quite honestly, if you want to do a group chat, you start a group chat and you're the only one that's going into it and posting stuff, that's okay. Go into it and just post an article for them every day or post something that's kind of fun. Your responsibility is to create the value in communication. It's not for them. You create the value. So what is the value? Hey, you know what? I don't want to miss my ops meeting because Robert gives us a quick update of how we did and some really cool kind of information. I can't miss my ops meeting. I don't want to miss my performance meeting. Why? Because it's my one chance to have some one-on-one with Robert. He gets to know me a little bit. I get to know him a little. I can kind of ask him some personal questions that I don't feel comfortable asking in front of the group. And it's our one-on-one time. So that's a really important routine. As I sort of said, the engagement monthly becomes a little bit more bigger picture, which is less of what you're interested in. And then create the routine that, hey, on a daily basis, you're available from this time. If anyone needs to reach out, you're happy to do it. But set the routines. Don't feel that you have to control everything, because you can't and you won't. And this may be great for you through this process. Because I get it. When you're in the office, you do kind of pick up on all those little tidbits. And it gives you, in some ways, a false sense of control, because you still don't know what they're talking about. Because I'll tell you now, I've been in offices, and again, 5 is a little bit smaller, but they're still sending texts back and forth about how funny your haircut looks this morning when you walked in the door. So just understand that they are still having these conversations, even though you might not be hearing them. They do happen. They happen outside of work. They happen when two of them go for a walk outside during the break. So know that there are many conversations that you may not allude to or be privy to. They do happen. But utilize and create cadence of your communication. And as I said, it is for me one of the most important things to build into your virtual leadership. And then second of all, build value into each of those meetings or times. That's the best advice I can give you. And as I said, don't worry. If you're a good leader.
You muted yourself there. Yeah. You said if you're a good leader.
Yeah, if you're a good leader, they'll come to you.
Perfect.
So
Thank you.
Robert, can you also keep in touch with us and tell us how this advice has been working for you?
Yeah, sure.
Stay in touch with us. We're trying to create a community of people. We're here to help, and we're just not going to leave you hanging. We want to know, is this working for you? And if you have more questions, don't be shy. We're just people like everybody else. So, do you have any other questions?
No, not from my side. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Appreciate that. Ola Yemi, I don't know if I'm saying your name right. Where are you from? You want to type it in the chat? You want to unmute and say hello? Okay, no? All right. Well, here we go.
Okay.
Hi.
Okay. Hi, everybody.
Welcome.
My name is Ryan. Yeah, thank you. So you did get my name right, but maybe.
Oh, wonderful. Where are you from?
I'm from Nigeria.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, wow. Beautiful. Wonderful.
Yeah, so it's really nice to join in and say, I discovered that quite a lot of companies here in Nigeria do not have that employee experience that Shane talked about. So we usually go more for the customers. We like to focus more on the customers. And you have a line on your sign out that says that the customer is always thinking that he is right.
That's right.
In Nigeria, we always say that the customer is right.
That's right. That's a funny one.
Right.
Yeah.
Even when the customer is not right, we like to think that the customer is right, and we like to say, "Oh, don't do anything. It's the customer, it's the boss, it's calling the shots and all that." But
yeah, they might not be. Listen, the customer. There's a big argument about is the customer right all the time, and I'll just say, well, it really doesn't matter. They are always thinking they're right, and if you want to mess with them, you're going to be in trouble. So thank you so much. I appreciate you coming.
Thanks, Eliani.
Yes.
Yeah, wonderful.
It's really nice to be here. I know we'll pick up. It's glad that you're always saying, reach out to us with omens. We want to hear from you. We want to know what's going on. And yeah, definitely, we will connect more. I see opportunities here, and then we can pick it up. I'm just here right now, but I've signed up for the next training, and we'll pick it up from there.
Thank you. No, I see you sign up for all the webinars, and I appreciate that. It's nice to be able to listen. It's nice to be able to speak to you, get to know you. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
All right. Oh, well, we got a picture.
Hey.
All right, we got a picture there.
Hi.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you. And we have Alexia. I don't know if Alexia, is she or he? I'm not quite sure. You want to unmute and say hello? Okay, I don't think so. I see it. That I have actually a little tool that shows me if they're watching or not. So she's like disengaged at the moment. So she probably won't unmute. So with that, I want to thank everybody for coming. Shane, do you have any last things to say?
Listen, guys, it's uncommon times. It's a difficult time. The one thing just to remember in that, there is no blueprint or operating procedure or handbook for this, so you're never wrong. So try stuff out. Be a little innovative. Be a little creative. Try some things you might not have normally done, because at the end of the day, when we get back to normal, and we will, and there'll be maybe a new normal, at the end of the day, utilizing this time to develop how you personally have an impact on other people, I think is pretty powerful. So don't be afraid to try some stuff out. I really hope you got a couple of things out of today, and maybe we'll see each other again soon. So Abraham, thanks for getting me on today, and
sure.
Appreciate everyone reaching out.
Yeah, next week. And also, folks, those who are watching the replay right now, please, tell us how it worked out for you. Be in touch with us. We want to know. We want to hear some feedback from you. Did it work for you? Maybe something didn't work for you, and we can ask us questions. Maybe we can help you. Remember, We're here to help. We're all in this together. We really want to help. But thank you so much, Shane. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thanks, guys.
So we'll see you guys hopefully next week.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.